Hello.
Hi, Jade.
Oh man, it
How
is
are
so
you?
great to see your face. I'm really excited about today because our history is very interesting and how we kind of came to know each other. We're going to get into that, but before we
Yeah.
do, I just want to say thank you for coming to give them their flowers. This is a segment of a show that I wanted to create to kind of give really inspirational and influential
Yeah.
people in dance, or whether they're a creative in dance or a dancer themselves, that I feel has inspired me in some way, and I really feel like the world should know, but also that it takes a village, and that there are definitely other people that have equally influenced and inspired you, and it would be lovely to talk to you about what that side of your past has been. But for those people watching that do not know the awesomeness that is you, please tell everybody your name and what it is that you do.
Um, so I'm Ash. I'm Ash Mukherjee, and I am. It was a very interesting question. Like I was just sitting here thinking, what do I do? I dance essentially. And that is my. But over lockdown, I've been, when I couldn't dance,
Hmm.
I started writing a lot. So it's weird how expression starts, I suppose I just love being in that space of having to express, having to create, otherwise it's freaking painful.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so however way it comes out. And I think before I would have limited myself with, oh, I'm a dancer,
Hmm.
and actually to be honest with you, and I think a lot of my, you agree, like it never stops. Like, you're doing it in some way or the other. So you might as
Hmm.
well like I wrote a lot of poems, for example, or I painted a lot, and
Wow.
so
Let's pin that, because we're going
yeah,
to get into
yeah, yeah, yeah,
all of this is
yeah,
like the nuggets that I want to get from you. But
yeah.
before we kind of really go into it, do you mind if we play a little game?
Go for it.
All
Yeah.
right, eyebrows
Are you,
going.
are you doing eyebrows? Are you doing eyebrows?
I'm not really good at it, but I'm giving you
Yes,
what
you
I've
are.
got. Okay, cool. So this is a really quick fire round question answer
Yes,
type
yeah,
situation. Don't
yeah,
think about it too much. Just
yeah,
boom, 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 boom. Go whatever is off the top of your head.
yeah.
Try and keep your answers as concise as you can.
Okay.
Here we go. Question number one. What is your earliest dance memory?
Okay. I've been told there's two, but are very quick ones.
Yeah.
So one is my dad played the tabla, and I would hear a rhythm, and I would just say it over and over again. And this is my mom tells me that I was on the bed going that hours just doing this, just playing. And she
Wow.
came in, and she got sick of that rhythm. So she went, "Dagi, dagi, 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 dagi." She changed it into a, and apparently I had my first diva drop because I was interrupted. And I put my hands on my hips and I went, no, that's different. Oh, like, and so, but look at this. One, two, three, one, two, three. I wanted to waltz and my mother wanted me to march.
Right.
So that
Two
should
whole
tell you
counts
mask
difference. All
fem, mask
right.
fem, mask fem. Yeah. So that
That's
was one.
dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
All right, keep
Yeah.
going. What is your favorite song to get down to at the moment?
At the moment,
Or the last one that really like
yeah.
got the shoulders going?
Got the shoulders going. Um, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna. This is gonna sound so predictable, but I still love waking up sometimes and listening to old school Michael Jackson's Jam. Like if I'm,
Sick.
it's, it's elemental, right?
It
That beat,
is.
that groove. Like
It's
when
next
my
level.
bullies came for me, I just had that. Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
literally, it's
That
like
doesn't sound bad at all. That is
rage
like a
and joy
classic
at the same
forever.
time, like that. Yeah.
100%. Okay, that's a good one. All right.
Yeah.
So, other than you, of course, who
Yeah.
is a really great dancer in your family?
Uh, um, I think my I've really never really seen my mom. My mom became a singer, but I think she did dance when she was a kid. But I come from a very musical family, so I'm not sure who danced, but then my mom, when she would be very happy, she would just break into a dance.
There you go.
Like, so I suppose it's her. Yeah.
It's your mum. All right. She
Yeah.
sounded like a really awesome lady at this point, but continue.
Yeah.
We're going to continue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What was the best dance advice you've ever received and from whom?
Actually, okay, so I actually asked, Lavelle Smith Jr.
Yeah.
Yes, so Lavelle. So I actually said, we were in the rehearsal room with him, and when we were sort of winding down, I said, Lavelle, do you have any, because I count him as a mentor, and I said, do you have any advice for me? And he just went, no, and he went, and this is the funniest thing, like I asked for advice. I've had so many unsolicited advices in my time. He just went, you got this, like you figure it out. Like you have the wherewithal to figure this out. Like go for it.
You got me, this is
so
really
an advice as an affirmation from him.
Yeah. You got this is a really affirmative thing to say to somebody.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yes, Lavelle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. What was the last dance spectacle that you watched that really put you in awe?
What was the last dance spectacle I watched that really put me in awe? Is it going to sound really spectacle, like a production, or just it could be anything?
It could be anything. You could have seen someone dancing on a street corner.
I was on the. I finally need to say that I was on the beach in Margate, where I live, and this little old lady, she was quite frail, and she just got up and she had this little dog running with her, and the sun was setting, and she just started dancing. I thought she was doing Tai Chi at first, but she was just moving, and I was just crying. And then she turned around and saw me just sobbing. She was like, why are you crying? She was so beautiful. But she had no idea I was watching her like some crazy stalking fan. She was so beautiful, Jane. It was just, to silence, and it was so
That's
pure,
lovely.
And the fact that she wasn't dancing for anybody, but just her.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that an answer? To me, it was a beautiful spectacle,
Yeah. That's a wicked answer. I love it. Okay, keep going. You're doing really well. Something that was really difficult for you to learn. That could be like a dance move. That could be morally in life.
Morally in life, that I don't have to try so hard in order to be loved. I'm worth, because I tried hard because I was always feeling unsafe.
We're gonna touch on that.
Yeah. So that I can relax that muscle.
Yes.
Like I understand that here, but my body is still learning that,
You're already, everything you just said, we're going to come back to that. Please do not forget any of that. Unsafe, relaxing those muscles, all of that we're going to touch on. Okay. Last two, nearly there. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, you're going to make me cry. It's like, is there a default moment? What are you going to tell your younger self? I would tell my younger self, don't be frightened. It's I'm going to be here for you. And I'm sorry, and I won't abandon you anymore and run away. I will turn up for you. And because he's never let me down. He's still full of wonder. Yeah.
That's lovely. We're going to touch all. Listen, let me not. Let's keep going, boo. Okay, so last one. When was the moment, this is really quite a hard one actually, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When was the moment you fell in love with what you do? If you can pinpoint, like, boom, that's it.
I was very ill as a child. They thought I had cancer, and they didn't. I'm thalassemic, which is like a blood condition. So they didn't know that. For a whole year, I was very, very, very ill, and they found out finally that I was But after a whole year of tuberculosis tests, we had this old black and white television, and my mom was in the kitchen, and they had this Russian show called Variety.
Wow.
And they used to have like, like jugglers and, but that date was different. And I was in bed and I hadn't gotten out of bed for about 6 months. I was really weak. And I heard this music. And it was da 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 da. And I was like, what the, and I scrambled out of bed. And it was actually the coda at the very end, that section.
And it ramps up.
And it was Bolshoi's production of Swan Lake. And it wasn't the Swans. It was, for me, it was Light and Dark. It was Rothbart and Siegfried doing a menage around each other, this kind of bird-like.
And
him, struggling. And it was in black and white, but I saw it. And I was like, I just knew that they were lit in blue. I can't quite describe it. Till this day, I love Scarlet Blanc and blue. It's also the romantic period. The blue is the romantic, the iris, the birth of romanticism. And I was very ill, and I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I just knew that was it. I was, it was boom. Yeah.
Why is that an entire film? What you just said in itself, like the whole thing.
I scrambled out of bed, and then my mom was like, "Oh my God, you're out of bed." 2 days later, they diagnosed me as thalassaemic, and you can get thalassaemic major or minor, like a symptom.
Yeah.
And I'm minor, so I'm not dead yet. So, which is great.
Thank God for that. We love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that. Like that little short game, and so much has come out of there. But I really want to unpick all of that stuff that you were talking about now, because there was so many nuggets in there. I was like, whoa. Okay, let's grapple with this. So I do frame it in the topic of dance, but I feel like I love that you're talking about your life that helps to contextualize your dance. Does that make sense? So I'd love for you to talk about that actually, and just your journey into dance and how you've come. But if you had to like chop it up into 5 main blocks, how would you chop that up?
Well, it's interesting you just say that, right? Because just before we did it, I always start anything with a bit of a meditation and a prayer these days, right? Because it gets me out of my head, right? Because my head wants me dead. My head's like tuck, 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 And I actually made a little gratitude list, basically I wrote, I'm grateful to come from a musical and artistic family who encouraged me. I'm grateful to have a sense of wonder and rhythm and playfulness. My first dance teacher was someone called Amala Shankar, who was Uday Shankar's wife. Uday Shankar danced with Anna Pavlova. They did Radha Krishna. And, Uday Shankar was a pioneer. He did that wonderful movie, Kalpana, in Asia. And again, when I was ill, I really wanted to go to the Mariinsky. So when a 5-year-old goes, I want to go to the Mariinsky in India, there's no, they're like, whatever.
So just so I'm clear, was you born in India?
Born in India.
Okay.
And so I really wanted to go to, go and learn ballet. And there was this massive yearning for it. And so there wasn't any ballet, right? But my dad got me, because they're both musicians, he got me this music by Ananda Shankar, who is Uday Shankar and Amala Shankar's son. And he played like sitar, but he would play like Jumping Jack Flash and, Doors. And it would just be this incredible, like tribal, classical, like you couldn't put it into any box. Now, right. You know what I'm saying? So it was just music, it wasn't this or this or that, it was just a response to music. And to this day, my practice is first response to an emotion, to response to it, so when I went to Amala Shankar, the first few months, she didn't train me. She just went, I was very, very young, and it was a class, and literally she would wear the saffron sari, and I would just be, holding her sari at the back, and then I would just hang out with her. I just hung out with her. That was my first training, just hanging out with this incredible teacher. And she would then say, go dance over there, listen to this music. And she just basically was making me improvise with tasks, but I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
That was my first kind of like, try this.
Wicked.
And then she'd make the senior students watch because how, children, children have this response which adults have forgotten. So that's what she was kind of doing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then she said, he's a classical dancer, he needs to do classical dance. And then I came into classical dance.
Right.
And my history with Bharatanatyam has been bittersweet. Let's just say that,
Let's go.
Yeah, so again, great teachers, but troubled teachers.
Right.
And where the line of discipline and abuse were frequently crossed. And at the time, I didn't know that, what was going on, So that, and then along with being bullied in school, and then, my mom has PTSD, so she was taking, out on me. So that created a very hothouse atmosphere. I was like, right, dance, and I became, it's weird, I just worked and became this, I was, in the company, I was dancing, but it was really bad. And to the point of where by the age of 14, 15, I would say I had a bit of a breakdown,
Right.
And I ended up in hospital, just like out of it. They had just, done way too much, and then I went back to my Guru Thankumanikutti, who took me on, and I had to really sort of work on letting that abuse that I went through go. Because I went through narcissistic abuse and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes,
So as a kid, it was like, wow, right?
Right.
Then I worked with her, and then I was like, I just knew I needed to get out because I was the bullying was so much, and I had so many intrinsic, so when I came out of there, I came to London and I went to London Studio Centre.
Oh, how old was you roughly now?
I mean, I had a check with London, but I came to England when I was 18, 19,
right,
and then I was in the
right.
sex for a bit, and then I was like, well, I need to be, somewhere properly vocational. And it was great. I had wonderful teachers, Brenda Last, she just, I mean, she kicked my A, you know what I mean? It was just amazing, and I had Anita Young, like Dolly Henry, who's like, like a goddess to me. I love those teachers. So I was very lucky, but also, because I had been in a very adverse childhood experience environment, the flashbacks hit me like second year. It was like, what?
Right.
And because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I had PTSD. I had no hypothesis, so it was like, there'd be a glass of water there and I wouldn't be able to reach and drink it, and I'd be parched. Like it was profoundly depressive. And, so that was I worked, then I went back to India, with a friend of mine, and we went and taught ballet in India, to different, and there was, I think my main thing was, as a kind of technical dancer, I was always interested in seeing Bharatanatyam done in completely different contexts. It could be to Vivaldi. It could be to African drum music. I just, you know what I mean? Like it could be to anything, right? Anything, and I also,
that's how I met you dancing.
Right.
You were dancing to all types of music, which really made me go, huh?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Right. And I think that was always my response. But, because India, I grew up listening to like tribal music sometimes. So it's not just, so there is this classification, and I know there's this kind of almost post-colonial, like holding on to this, which is great. And I think the gatekeepers do that really well. And then there is the, like where, and for me, I was still, when I did Move Like Michael, for example, it was still a classical piece.
It was.
All of those things were classical. It was. So just because you're not seeing it in its tradition doesn't mean it's not classical. So
right.
Straight for a bit, right? Okay.
Right.
And also, if this is a classical move and this is a classical move, and just because you've never had this move in it doesn't make it less classical.
Right.
So it was all of these traditions, and so I was there. So I've always been with some of the older gurus, they got it straight away, and some of the gatekeepers, it was like this all the time, and I was like, I ain't got no time. So but basically, when I came back, I started working here. I didn't really know that many people in the South Asian industry here, and also because I was so like you couldn't put me in a bracket, like I had people saying, oh, you've done television and you've done Indian dance to Michael Jackson. That's very commercial, isn't it? I'm like, well, you draw a salary for what you do, so that's commercial too. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of that kind of, going on because they didn't really know what to do
with you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So because I was out of the box.
I can see.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So so this is where I've always followed my heart as opposed to strategizing something. Like if I love the music, I'll do it. If I or so before, and this is where the self and service thing comes in a little bit. Before, like the younger Ash, I've never hustled, but it was from this place of I gotta do this and this and this and this. This was very kind of, the achievements were strategic, even though my response to it came from the heart.
Right.
But no matter what I was doing, there was always trauma following me. That was it, to put it into context. And I've had some great times. I've had some amazing, amazing opportunities. I've got to, dance for some companies, even though it was difficult. Like the reward and gift from that. I've been nominated for Critics Circle Awards, despite of trouble, and things that were brewing. And as an Indian immigrant, not a British Asian, the scene is completely different, I found. People were getting away with a lot of naughty things, back in the day. I was like, you wouldn't do that to a British Asian, but you would do that to work permits, all of that, right? And bullying, all of the, so those things were there. I would get this rage and flashback that came,
Right.
So for me, it became this. And I was like, and I just started going, no, not gonna work, so that self-care mode that I went into, because I kept attracting those bullies as well, because I had a mother wound. I was, so I had to take ownership of, no, I don't have to work with this just because this production is amazing. I don't, you wouldn't dance in a studio that is dirty and you'll fall down there, right?
Yeah.
So why would you dance in a place where your emotional health and mental health is not being respected, where there are microaggressions? Right? Why? So why? That's on us.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
But I was doing that, Jade. I was the one going on, and then because I hate confrontations, I would just go and then carry that home with me. I mean, it's not even mine.
Yeah.
So now, after lockdown came, lockdown was like, the first lockdown, I got really excited, like cooking and, poems. And then it hit me, like, you got to deal with this trauma. It hits sort of critical mass, And I was, I wrote a lot. I worked with an incredible trauma therapist who said, write, so poems and I've got a book coming out called Demon in My Garden, which is the poems on PTSD and regeneration and addiction and healing. Again, a lot of it came from rhythms and dance, like just the words were just there,
Yeah.
And the other thing that happened is something I didn't realize I was doing. All my life, I was running away from a trauma or a monster, whatever. And despite of the knockdowns and the bullying that I faced here as an immigrant or a queer person, or back in school, my dance was always about strength and resilience.
It really is.
Despite of, right?
When I watch you, I see that.
There's a lot of rage and joy can be jammed back to that, there's rage and joy, and rage and can be quite similar energetically, whether it's in, and I hear it so much, and those are the pieces when that joy wasn't being able to put through, it would just turn into rage, and when that rage was held and loved, look what was underneath that rage, grief.
Right.
I held that grief for myself, going back to the inner child question you asked me, right? Let's bring it all home now. So it's like to turn up for myself, to listen to how can I expect other people to listen to my voice if I don't know how to listen to my voice? And I wasn't, Jade. I was running away from it.
Yeah.
I was drowning it. But I had to go into those quiet moments and listen. This is where I realized I was doing Bhutto. because Bhutto is the dance of darkness. All the things that I didn't want to deal with,
Yeah.
all the pain that I was getting, you know, like all the PTSD brings about a lot of pain up here, and you're
Yeah.
sympathetic nerve. So in my practice now, I hate that word, play, you
Yeah.
know.
Play.
So
I feel that.
you know, in my play now, it's not dancing, and it's not, I've done all of that, and I still will do this, you know, but it's about holding that pain and not going, not suppressing that pain anymore. It's working with the pain, working, you know, grief is love with nowhere to go.
What is going on with you today?
The thing, she's like, tack, 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 tack.
Yes, nuggets come through. Oh, right. Wow.
But grief, honey, grief is the.
Say that one more time, grief.
Grief. This is not my quote. This is grief.
It's a quote. It's
actually it is a great. Grief is anger is grief's bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
Grief is love with nowhere to go. And my one is, I wrote a poem called "My Grief is Purple Now." Because the grief is the queen of all emotions. Unless she has been addressed, no other emotions can truly take
over. Yeah,
because they can come in and do their thing, but really, if that isn't addressed,
yes.
So that's where Bhutto came in, and I got to work. So in Margate, we have, you know, the wonderful Anthony Gormley, you know, his statue, which is. It's called Another Time.
Yes.
And he's just in parallel. He's in parallel looking at the sea, and the waves are just
coming in. Yeah.
And that statue is my sort of higher power, you know, like whatever you want to call it. So despite of so many things coming at us, we're just, and I think Bhutto has a charge around it. It's not just performing and dancing for it. It's just being able to sit there and have that aura without even
it's in that, yeah.
Just keeping that.
Woo!
Then if everything falls there, you know, like and then you know, like so it's there. It's just what you know what I mean? Like there, there, right there. So I got to work with I heard this incredible music by a composer called Preeti Panto, and it was kind of impressionist in its quality. It's almost like the waves were hitting something, and it was saying, "Come on, darling, let's grieve." So I made a little my first film, and it's called Elegy. Plug.
Throw it there.
I am shameless.
Love it.
Yeah. So no, it was called Elegy, and I got to work with Giles Toller, who is he's a surfer. And he's a musician as well. So he went into the ocean, like when it was like the tide was like crazy. And he just shot everything. Like he went underwater, and he just shot the waves. And I ended up giving a Bhutto performance basically to this, you know, just kind of being, and also because, and I kind of went back to my roots when I would go that way. So just this,
that wave of yeah.
Just responding, just getting out of get out of the way. Let the music do what it needs to do.
Ash,
you know, so it was
I'm just like,
me, right?
What like, that is in. I could talk about this all flipping night. I'm just so gutted we only have that time. All right, I'm gonna move it on. There was so much in there. My brain is like this right now. But I really want to know about current work, what you've got coming up now. I'm not sure where you are right now, but I know you're in doing some awesome things. So I'm not sure whether you're allowed to say it or not. But what's going on with you now?
Well, I'm NDA'd to my gills. So I mean, they're like. So now I can't really, but I'm working with someone who I really admire you know, right now, called Francesca Janus and Dale Mercer, and they've done so, like, they're incredible. It's such a happy set. And this is the thing, it's no drama set, and I've stopped working with people where there's drama should be on stage.
Yeah.
Not
Yes. Yes. Drama should be on
should be on
stage.
yeah, so I just one of those things that I've just decided that I'm going to give myself the gift of working with people that I really like
Yeah.
working with and say no to, so no, but no, it's great. It's beautiful, beautiful work.
I'm so
So I'm
happy.
really happy doing that. I've got the book coming out.
Yes.
And
Elegy, you said it was Elegy, right? This film.
Elegy is the film that's already out. So if you guys
where
want to
can we
watch
go
it,
to watch that?
YouTube, just put Elegy, Ash Mukherjee, or Preeti Pental. It's by a company called Shivanova. That was the commission from them. They're great, it's a sort of, it's essentially a music, it's a dance response or a buto response to Elegy is about it's grief. It's how we grieve, how we finally are brought to our knees. And then we go, oh my God, oh actually it's not that bad. So it's that. So that's available on YouTube, but we're hopefully going to show it on the big screen somewhere in London very soon. And I'm working with the lovely Piali Ray from Sampad and Adam Pushkin, and they've asked me to come and do a one-man show for the LGBT. It's called the Shout Festival in Birmingham.
Wow.
It's an festival. So essentially, it would be, my journey with mental health, but with the poems, basically.
Yes.
So the poems. A lot of the poems have a lot of dance element.
Yes. The rhythmic.
A lot of my stuff comes from that.
What time frame are we looking at for that stuff to happen?
So the one-man show is happening November. The book's coming out October, and the film's already out. And this has all happened in 1 year, and I didn't even hustle. This is the weirdest thing. This is all lockdown.
You booked and blessed. You booked and blessed. That's what we love. Last thing before we leave, I'd love for you to just give it kind of crudely, it's like give a shout out, but it's not really like that. It's really those people that have really helped your journey, and your journey is incredible. And there's going to be so many people that will watch and resonate with how you felt at any one point in your life and how your dance and art has helped you navigate through that. So I'd love for you to talk to any of the people that have helped you.
I think my father, he's been the quiet one within the whole thing. He's the tabla player, and he's been the sort of quiet rock underneath it. My husband, just incredible. Like, he has held me through the PTSD when sometimes it's been terrifying, and he's literally just incredible.
What's his name?
John Ainsworth. And, he's just adorable. Like just the same, just lovely, just freaking lovely. I'm really lucky. And all the so I've had so many wonderful dance friends from different parts, and there are people I've met over here that are troubled, and there are people that I've met who are not. But I think what I've learned from some of them, my best friend Rain, for example, or my friend Alif, who hired me for the Michael Jackson job, who's become a really good friend, is, I've learned from them how to keep the humanity of the people that took my humanity away in interactions, right?
Yeah.
So that the conversation can go forward without right? And lastly, there's someone I'm working with now called Dr. Terry Hyde, who is a wonderful psychotherapist, and he's actually made an app called Help for Dancers. Lovely. And I'm working with him. I'm sort of creating content for this app, just sharing my journey in terms of, how I have faced, how do I deal with the flashback? How do I deal with a fight or flight syndrome? How do I not abandon myself when I'm being bullied in the workplace, but to stop and say, hey, my humanity needs to be respected in this space. How to have a safe space for dancers? Maybe it's this app. Maybe it's, a place like Dance Umbrella. Like, okay, so when there is something like this happening, In a normal company, there's HR. What happens in a dance company?
Right.
And why do we just, as dancers, I'm not talking about other people, I can just speak for myself. I learned a lot of blind spots about myself in group therapy. So for me, it's this continuing conversation. Like, instead of saying, anger is a secondary emotion, but to be in a space where we can be in a safe space where we can go, hey, listen, I think I'm being bullied. Don't go to bed with it. Let's find an emotion chart. Let's see what those emotions are. Come and talk. And not from the place of vindication, but from the place of, sometimes bullies don't even know that they are doing that. They're just doing what they've learned.
Right.
You know, so Terry Hyde, Dr. Terry Hyde, with his app, is doing some wonders.
That's incredible. And there's probably, as well as I said, that there'll be people watching that I feel and share the exact same feelings as you. And you know, this app might give them
help for dancers.
Lovely.
It's on Instagram. It's on Dr. Terry is on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. You know, come and talk. Come and talk.
That's awesome. Ash,
you deserve safe space. You know.
Thank you so much for your energy. Every time I see or talk to you or hear from you, you are literally a beacon of light. And even in times that might not have felt like that, your energy has always resonated with me. From the first moment I met you, I was like, he's something else, man. Like, he's incredible. So thank you so much for give them their flowers, everybody, even though there's no one here for me. Everyone.
Give them their flowers.
Flowers.
I'm
love. So much love. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.